All right. So at this point, I would like to ask any of you guys if you have any questions for our panelists. We're kind of focusing on the first year out. So if you have any questions based around that, anybody? Yes.
This goes to anyone. Because you spent your first couple of years, as you say, like slogging away and trying to get anything you can, do you wish you would have started sooner and maybe not gone into a training program or university or something like that and just started?
All right, guys, so that was, did you wish that you didn't do your training? Just went straight into it and didn't do your training.
I don't know if that was quite. I'll answer first if anyone else has anything. I actually came to the On the Move conference in my third year. York is a 4-year program because I was a little keener. And I learned in my third year a couple of things from this conference of things to do in my fourth year. So I just got a tiny little head start, and it just meant that rather than being in the professional company ensemble, that I was working on my own work in my fourth year. And so I had a couple of little threads to hold on to that as I graduated, I knew a couple of people in the community. I was going to events. I don't regret training. I think that it's okay to start at any time, as long as you start.
Good.
Really?
Does anybody have anything to add to that?
You get in.
I think absolutely not. This is my path that's happened for me. This is the best thing that could have happened for me. I learned that once I was out, the same faces that I grew up and did, I was a competitive dancer. I still saw those faces, and they may have done a few more things, but the knowledge that I gained from my program and just the name of that, Ryerson, York, they have a reputation. Their programs are so calculated, and they have such a specific plan for us to follow that without it, who knows where I would be. Like the things that I learned in my ballet class on a Tuesday in third year, I keep to this day, and without them, I probably wouldn't be here. My agency probably would have thought just another dancer. And you have to know that you have a reputation behind you, and you can create your own reputation. You have an advantage that you guys are in the best shape of your life right now. You will never be in better shape than you are right now. So hopefully you keep your training, because it's so hard to get to those 10:30 ballet class. I know 10:30 is probably late for you guys, but 10:30 ballet is early. And to keep it up on a consistent basis, you have to be so disciplined. And obviously for you guys to be here now, to go through your program, you are obviously all disciplined, but to uphold that is extremely difficult. And you all have a fresh face now that nobody has seen. So that's really exciting. It's like, oh, who's that? I have no idea who that is. And you can just blow their mind with something they've never seen before. So that's an advantage that I think you have from your schooling that nobody else has.
You can also start now. You can do both. You don't have to, restrict yourself to doing only school and academics. You can start selling yourself as a business. Create yourself as, some sort of entity that you have to sell. You're constantly selling yourself. You know what I mean? And it's not like that kind of selling yourself, but you know what I mean. Selling yourself, as in. Well, I mean, if you want to do that, each to each their own. But you're a business, right? And I think a lot of artists forget that you have to treat yourself as a business and make sure that other people are constantly seeing your best work, going out to those auditions, trying out for opportunities, making your face seen. That's what it is. And you don't have to not be in school to do that. It's not like one or the other. You can overlap, right? And I actually strongly suggest doing that immediately. Develop a site, develop your CV, do all that now, or at least start it. And if you haven't, get up, walk out the door, and start. You know what I mean? Because you need to.
I think my last comment, maybe you have more to say, but for me, I think that the contacts that you make in your training programs, especially because I guess at our level it is more about producing your own work, because there aren't that many big companies out there just throwing jobs at us. It is about making those contacts, and really, without the training program, I wouldn't have had those. Certainly moving to Toronto from a little town, you're a small fish in a giant pond, but once you go through the programs, you know people, and that's very helpful.
Yeah, and also aside from networking, where you meet a lot of your contacts, you age. And I think a lot of people aren't willing to hire a 17-year-old out of high school, so it's a good opportunity to get some years on you and then meet people, yeah.
Great. Yes.
My question is about time management. So after you graduate, you want to stay in shape and you want to make money, which both take time. And how do you, like, I don't know, 10:30 ballet class plus have like a job? How do you balance that?
So the question is relating to how do you balance your work, life, paying bill schedules?
So I worked a 9 to 5, and then I would rehearse until 10:30 at night. So it was both. You just never sleep, have no life.
I teach a lot of dance, so I have my days pretty much open. I start teaching anywhere between 3:30 and 9:30, so I have my entire morning to take a dance class, take a singing lesson. I also have my own business, so I'm on the computer for quite a few hours in the morning, so I get that done as well. And if I have a day off, I will call my restaurant and pick up a shift.
It's okay to have days off. It's actually important for your mental health. Believe me. So it's okay. It's okay to take a day off. I think that there are a lot of different ways that you can design and plan your life and your time and your weeks and your months. I know that some different approaches that I've used where I'll have working days of the week where I go and I do my Joe jobs and I work on the computer and I do that kind of stuff. And then I'll have rehearsal days and dance days. So maybe there are 2 or 3 days in the week where I'm going to class, where I'm rehearsing, and then other days where I'm working. Or I've found jobs that are flexible. So I would work in the afternoons and the mornings were left open for rehearsals and for dance class. I also look for alternative ways to keep in shape, as you were talking about. So I swim in the mornings on days that I can't, when I'm not in the studio. So it's really just trial and error, I think. Because you'll try something for a while and then you'll be like, okay, enough of that. That is not healthy for me. I'm not learning and I'm not being fed. Literally or metaphorically. And so you go, okay, on to the next thing. Now I'll try this. Now I'll try this. And eventually you find a rhythm that feels like it works for you and that is beneficial in all the ways that you need.
Regarding time management, the first thing you learn once you leave school is how to turn 24-hour days into 48-hour days. It's really cool. Just you figure it out, right? You manage to do things twice as fast. And like myself, in order to stay in shape, because I'm in great shape.
And he's modest too.
I'm a b-boy. I have to talk like this. Anyhow, what I do is I teach, and you refine your foundation, your fundamentals by teaching it to all ages. I teach 7 days a week, at least 4 hours a day, and it really helps me stay in shape that way. And I train on my own, so I have my own sessions where I'll run a public session where people can come just practice as a collective, and that's my opportunity to train myself. So it's a good opportunity for me to really, push my dance, but at the same time get paid. So my suggestion is whatever career choice you decide to do and keep following that. Don't deviate too far from it. So if you're going to be a dancer, then stay in the dance world. You know what I mean? Otherwise, your face isn't going to be known. If you're going to be a dancer, don't go and do something completely off from that because your face has to be seen. The other thing for time management too is There's this brilliant man, he just passed away, his name's Steve Jobs. He created this device right here called an iPhone. I don't work for them, by the way. But this tells me exactly what I need to do every single day. And when I'm on, transit, I'm emailing, looking for opportunities. I'm on the net, trying to find more auditions or networking with somebody else. Like it's constant work, 24 hours a day, which is why I'm holding it now. I'm not working right now, really, but I'm expecting calls. So, you should be doing that too. Like literally, turn your 24-hour days into 48-hour days.
I think it's just really being organized and we were talking about training earlier, and your training is never going to end, or it never should end. No matter what stage of life you're in, if you're just coming out of school, you always have to be open to learning, even within your own dance style, learning different techniques, learning other dance styles, being open to it. And at different stages of your life, you're going to do different things. So right now, you might be inclined to just going to class, or later you might just want to teach. So you just have to be open to what it is. And like he was saying, iPhones are great. You can check your email everywhere. And all the best TV comes on late at night, so don't spend your days watching TV.
Yes.
I found that there's a lot of employers in the art sector that if you are able to do any kind of administrative or management work, that they really want you to be committed to that, and they're not interested in necessarily accommodating your more creative side, including performance and rehearsal. So I'm wondering if that's just my experience, or if that's something that maybe can come up again, because you feel there's a divide in terms of people preferring that if you're an administrator, you're an administrator, and if you're an artist, you're an artist.
All right. So the question is based around kind of casting yourself into one particular type. If you're going to be an administrator, focus on being an administrator, and if you're going to be a performer or dancer, be a dancer, and people's perception of you doing that and the commitment around that. Does that sound? Yeah? Okay. Matt.
One question I have an opinion on. There's a little term that's sort of floating around at the dance umbrella these days, and it's called the holistic artist. The truth is that if you go out there and you are just a dancer, secretly you are also an administrator. I know, I just blew your minds. You can't even handle it right now. No, I mean, the reality is that, there are going to be places in the world where they want you to be just an administrator or just a performer, and that's fine, but if you have to be comfortable with that. But the reality is, if you're going to be an independent artist and you're going to be producing your own work, or even connecting with other people and in concert creating your own work, you will have to be an administrator. You have to know how to write a grant. You have to know how to make a budget. You can't just say, I'm going to put on a show and then do it, and then when people come knock on your door and say, hey, I'd like some money for that, you can't be like, oh, sorry, I'm busy being just a dancer. So that's just not the truth. It's not how it all works. And certainly, most places in the arts world are flexible to that. They understand that, maybe your one true love is not working in Excel like me. That's cool. And they are accommodating to that. Certainly in my position at the Dance Umbrella, the duo has to be flexible because secretly outside of that I work at Typecast, and I'm also pursuing a second degree. And because of that, I have incredibly flexible hours. It does mean that I work until midnight some nights because I'm stupid, but that's just how it works. So I think the sort of thesis of what I'm trying to say here is that you really have to be able to be both things, and most places are willing to accept that you need to train in both of those things.
Does anybody else have an opinion?
Something to say. You were asking about employers being flexible. If you're up front, I think especially if you're looking for employment outside of the dance world, which is just a It's just something you have to do. If you're upfront and say, hey, this is what I do, and there may be times where I have a show or I'm going on tour or something, I just want to be upfront about that, and we can work together on compromising. I think that people generally respect that a lot and understand, and if they don't, then maybe they're not the employer for you. And that's okay. I feel like that's all I've been saying. But that's okay. So you go and you look for someone else. And you find another job that does say, oh, that's really amazing that you're a dance artist. That's so exciting to me. And yeah, of course I respect that. And we can work together in terms of scheduling and making sure. So just being upfront about it, I guess.
Yeah, just to touch on that as well, it is really important to be honest. You have to be fair to your employers to expect them to be fair to you. And there are jobs out there. Maybe that specific administration job isn't out there, but take jobs that are more flexible. If I can't teach, I have a sub lined up ready to go. And my studios know that where my priority is. When I'm in my studio, I'm 100% committed to my dancers and my students. When I get a job, I set them up, I take care of them, make sure your shift is covered, and then you're able to pursue what you really want to do. But it is really important. It's so unfair to go to, even a restaurant to call in sick or to just not show up for your students, because everywhere is a business. They're paying you a service. You should do your service and make sure you're able to do what you want to do. So I just think that's important. So the honesty thing is pretty huge.